Alrighty, it is someday in January. It is some Tuesday in January. We have driven down in whiteout conditions to the farm, fix the tractor, which has issues. Okay, where's that light switch? Hold on. Hold on, there we go. Alright, here at the farm workshop, because this shaft should not come out of this governor. The D15 keeps jumping time. The D15 we just bought has been very good besides that, but I sort of need it on Saturday to move an alignment rack I bought, or my business partner bought, and we're gonna get her going. This is the D15 Series 2. I think it's like a 64 or 65, can't remember. That's the Model C back there. That's been in the family since my family ran an Allis Chalmers dealership. Yeah, we'll get the governor put back together. We got new parts, some new old stock parts, some used parts. We're gonna put this back together, and hopefully it'll stop jumping time, which it will. All right, so this is a new old stock governor case, governor housing cover. This does not pull in and out. It's the threaded one. I don't know what kind that is. It's a Series 2, so it should be a threaded one. But interesting, new old stock, still in the original box. And there's just paint all over the gasket surface. And I don't know if a Allis Chalmers technician would just bolt that up as it is, or if he would clean it up. I'm sure a good one would clean it up and ensure a good sealing surface. But new shaft is in. We took the old weights, the weights from the old governor, and put it on the new shaft because our old weights are in much better shape than the ones that are on this used shaft. When I say new shaft, this is the new to me shaft, but this amount of play right here, that's what we got on that one. That one's less, so that's fine. That is acceptable. But yeah, reusing the gaskets, that's how farmers do it. So we're going to put that back on. It's a good 60s gasket. It's a multi-use gasket. Same thing with the one on the tail shaft, but we're going to clean this up, bolt it together. Same here. This is cleaned up, so we're going to bolt that on, get the distributor dropped in, get the plug back in. Once we set, this is your timing hole right here on the side of the housing. So you look at your timing mark on the flywheel of the motor, and then you drop your distributor in and set your timing. So we're going to do that just to get it running for Saturday. Okay, we're going to clean it up, clean up that sealing surface, and this is what we're going to use: a very old school electric wire wheel that plugs into the wall and just runs a generator motor. That's what we got. So that's what we're going to use. It's a pretty cool old tool. Alrighty, so we just finished plowing with the tractor. Runs great. We do have to modify the blade, which we knew was going to happen because the previous owner built it as a grader. And yeah, he did build this from scratch. So an angle iron, bolts into the arms, and found a ring snap coupler. Oh, and we do have to go to A&W Tractor up in Cecil, Wisconsin. We're going to run up there. We ran up there for the new old stock governor housing, this piece. We reused the gaskets on it, and so far I'm not seeing any leaks. Magic of 60s gaskets on tractors. And so we ran up there for the new governor housing, and we ran up there for the new governor shaft. And so it was a new old stock governor housing, and it was a old used governor shaft, and we just swapped the weights over. And then for those two pieces, it was like $285. Because new old stock part was $200. If I would have gotten a used one, it would have been $100. But I think this tractor is nice enough for new old stock. And another thing is, this is the updated version where the governor rod, the control arm, or the control lever, the lever assembly, sorry, not the control lever, the lever assembly threads in. Whereas on the older versions, they were press fit. And Allis Chalmers actually had a service bulletin where you would, the press fit would wear out, so you would drill and tap for the new threaded style rod. So this is a better design. This is what should have come on this tractor. And this is a lot tighter than what the original one was. Also, on some of the older ones, this flange has a tendency to warp. So you really gotta put a thick gasket on there. Or it's really hard to fix a warped something like that, where it's, especially on a governor where it has to move in and out a certain depth. It's hard to fix that and have it be the correct depth. But yeah, we just got finished plowing snow. Tractor did excellent. Excellent as before. It was running. Ran okay before, but it definitely runs a lot better now that I've gone through the distributor and gone through the carburetor. Should have done it in the summertime, but here we are. Yeah, plowed it good. We just did 3 passes on the driveway and took care of it, no problem. But we do have to weld some shoes on, because with all plow blades, when you hold them at an angle and just try and hold them up a little bit with the hydraulics, they sit sort of wonky. So you won't get a nice even pull with the blade, and then your blade doesn't wear evenly. So I have to go to where I used to work. It's a snowplow store when I was in school, and the snowplow hydraulics store, new hydraulics, and I need to buy some used shoes and then make some brackets and weld them on, and then we can just drop the blade and pull it, no problem. And then I really want to, with all the snow we're getting in Wisconsin, I'd like to pull these forks off and get a couple big scoops of snow and make a giant snowman with the Allis, which I think would be pretty cool. But I suppose we'll start it up for you guys. We have the correct tall fuel bowl. Turn the gas on. And it's a little wet and snowy, unfortunately. Really, it should get wiped down, but it's fine. I do not like this muffler. It is super cool, but it pings and there's an exhaust leak on it, unfortunately. And it is homemade, so I mean, that's understandable. And it doesn't have a tractor flap. I really want a tractor flap, not that, because as you can see, it sits at a little bit of an angle, so moisture can hit it and run down inside. I want a tractor flap, so I think we're just gonna cut that off. Cut off that 90 and put a tractor flap. But anyways, we're in neutral right there. We have lights on the side, and then we have the work light, which is nice for backing up, and that's got a switch right there. Fuel gauge does not work. The float is sunk. It bops around when you're moving, but we got to get a new float. Gauges are lit. And this tractor, owner's manual talks differently about, it says it should like crank, but this is a push button. Here's your choke, which we won't need because it was just running. But, and then there's your throttle, this knife handle. Yeah, idle's real nice, fairly quiet. idle speeds are still not perfect. It idles a little high, and yeah, it idles at about 850, 900. Should be at like what, 575, I think. 600 was the spec. I don't know, somewhere in the 500s. So we're almost double idle speed. Not really the best. I need to adjust my full load mixture, which is this adjustment. You have to load up the tractor, or you just or what you do is you go full tilt with the tractor stationary, thread that in until it starts to sputter, then you bring it back out until it runs smooth, and you go out another 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn, and then that is the leanest you can run at max load. Air fuel mixture, I do want, at the idle circuit, I do want to adjust. This is just, we just got it running. This is a preliminary 1.5 turns out on the air fuel, set the idle, set that for what I think it is. And then we reset. Previous owner had #1 spark plug, which is supposed to be up here on the distributor cap. He had it over here. So he had the distributor in at a weird angle, and it just wasn't happy. We put a new coil on it. And yeah, that's about it. So pretty happy with how it turned out. See, look at that. I'm not seeing an oil leak after reusing this gasket and this gasket. So if you're careful, reusing gaskets is no problem. It's what I've learned on these old tractors. I always used to, my mom knew a guy with a 8N tractor, and remember he told me he reused the water pump gasket, and I was just shocked. Like, how could you do such a thing? You need a new gasket. No, it's fine. And that tractor leaked out of the front and rear main anyways, so who really cared? But it's a pretty nice tractor. I still want to build a really thick skid plate for the hydraulic tank. I know this hydraulic tank is incredibly thick to begin with, but we'll get to that. We want to replace some of the hoses that aren't correct. Like this clear hose is not really a good suction return line. It's not going to be UV protectant, so it's going to crack over time. So we'll get some proper, and we'll sleeve it. I don't want to sleeve all these hoses. I want to get a clamp on there, keep that out of the way. I want to put some sheath on here so it doesn't rub on anything, stuff like that. And yeah, that's about it. I got to tighten these up too. And when I mean tighten, I mean don't tighten up the bolts. I mean the holes have some slop in them. So I need to weld them up and rebush the holes so that there's less slop in the loader. But that's all to come later. Tractor also doesn't like third gear. That's all got to get fixed. Clutch needs an adjustment. All that stuff is to come later. But it's solid, runs well, does what we need to do.